All right, welcome back to Bayou Town. We have the Sheriff of Terrebonne Parish, Sheriff Tim Soignet, and congratulations on your first year anniversary.
Thank you, Martin.
It's not like you hadn't been in law enforcement
No.
for a long time. But let me just give you a chance a little bit to talk about some of the things you've implemented and how do you see it working after 1 year in office?
Well, when I took office, we had about 251 employees. We brought it up to a little over 301. Majority of that's on our investigative side, from patrol to our detectives and narcotics. So I've increased our patrol, our uniform patrol, about 25% more per shift on the road. And we've done the same equivalently with the bureau, the detective bureau, and narcotics. So we've increased some numbers there. So that's where the 50 guys went, if you would, or the 50 patrol officers for that amount. How I was able to do that? Well, we renegotiated a lot of contracts in the beginning of the year where we were able to save a little bit of money. We changed a little bit of our operation, what we do from day to day, from oil changes to outsourcing. I mean, we don't outsource a lot of things when it comes to vehicles. We're a full-blown mechanic shop, so you know that helped. That's helped a lot, especially when you got almost 300 cars in your fleet. Yeah. So that saves a substantial amount of money, and that allowed me to put a lot more officers.
So you were able
working.
to use a lot of, let's say, trustee help. Who some of those guys are very talented.
Yes, and I mean we use trustees at the motor pool that's helping with oil changes and doing day-to-day stuff like the trash pickup. We still have we've implemented that. Of course, we had a challenge with the COVID. I mean, we couldn't let a lot of guys out at the time, but now things are starting to pick up a little bit, and we have a lot more inmate work programs. But I mean, we started the transitional work program that did not exist. But by December, we have roughly about 70 inmates who are now involved in a transitional work program. What that does, instead of them locked up all day, they leave in the morning, they go to work, they work for employers in the parish, and some of them outside the parish. They're getting paid a salary. Part of the salary covers my costs. That's how we run the program.
Right.
But we have about 70 inmates working. They're holding regular jobs. Some of them been pretty successful. Some of them got out. They held their same job when they got out. They were carried over by their employer.
So you get sort of an agency fee to put them back into, and that does two things: puts them back in circulation, and it gives them a feel-good thing about not going back and ending up back in jail.
Well, a lot of them, I think sometimes, look, you're not going to change the world with all of them, but there's a lot of them that really genuinely trying to do better. This opens up a door and gives them an opportunity. But like I said, we got 70 inmates working regular jobs every day. The difference is they come back to us in the evening. We drug screen, make sure they're staying clean. At the end of the day, they're getting classes. Some of them getting their high school diplomas that never had their high school diplomas. We put people in place, and I mean, there was grants and there's programs we didn't really tap into, and now we are. And some of these guys are getting their high school diploma, they're holding a job, and I mean, basically, instead of sitting there behind the walls getting by the taxpayer, now they're taxpayers. And we supervise their off time, as if you would. When they're not working, they're supervised with us.
But I like the fact that you're getting paid for them.
Well,
so the effort y'all put in, you're getting reimbursed.
Well, that's how the program's funded. I mean, it's not it's a self-funded program, but that's transitional work. Lafourche has done it for a while, and we kind of took the program and made one of our own. And it's been pretty successful for us so far.
Yeah. What's some of the other things? I see you have a pretty good list.
Yeah, I got a list of a couple things. When I took office, we invested in some good body cameras. We went with body cameras and the taser system, but also what they call a smart system, which it's a triggering device. It's even on the holsters of the weapons. If an officer draws, somebody shoots at an officer has to draw his firearm. His camera turns on automatically, and it's geo-fenced, so other officers in the surrounding area that's on the system, their cameras turn on.
Wow.
So it's the greatest technology. One, for public complaints. If there's a public complaint, it's recorded. But two, there's a lot of things we were able to, like, look, this is the video footage that doesn't tell a lie. And, not only one officer, but there was two other officers there, so you get to see all the other angles.
It probably saves you, hate to say it, a lot in legal lawsuits.
It does. I mean, where there could have been a potential lawsuit, it kind of takes care of it from there. And I believe it pays for itself but it's good technology for our officers to have,
Yeah, safety.
and for safety and everything else.
So if
it's-
somebody's driving up on a deputy who's drawn his gun and his camera's on,
His
they can
camera's
see it.
on. His camera's on, but also other cameras turn on to officers it's kind of like a geo-fence thing. So
Mm-hmm.
any other officers in there, their cameras turn on.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool.
it's some of the latest and greatest technology.
Technology's come a long way. What
And,
else you
so-
got, Sheriff?
Well, we have in our in the bureau, detective bureau, we during the year, I mean, we had a double homicide very early in my administration that happened, and we had instituted basically violent crimes that's linked with gangs and violent crimes, and we paired off some narcotics guys, and they're working together because there's a lot of these things connected. I put on we have property crimes where these guys look. We got some officers in there. You can show them a bank statement and start looking at some stuff, and they can go through them like they know, on those type of crimes. And I got guys, if there's a homicide or if there's some certain detectives, we kind of not divided the bureau, but we compartmentalized each part of the bureau, and we were able to make it a little bit more efficient where they're on it a lot faster, and we got some good people that's really good at.
I remember when you were running, you said, we're going to make some changes, we're going to do some different things. Over the years, I've seen people make those promises, they get in, nothing changes. But you had several changes.
Yes. Like I was telling you before the break, we divided the bureau up. Not divided, still a detective bureau, but before it'd be, if there was something passed to a detective, it was like they'd pass the next one to the detective, pass one next one. But when you start looking at some of their skill sets in there, we got some detectives, like I was telling you. You give them some bank statements, you give them some anything when it comes to financial crimes or anything like that, those guys are wizards. And you got some of them that if it comes to a homicide or a violent crime, they will not sleep and they will flip every stone and look under everything to try to piece something together to figure it out. But those guys that specialize, that's really good, from the property crimes to, and then last but not least is special victims. You got people that are very good with juveniles, very good when it comes to the domestic violence. So we create also the special victims unit. So we have special victims, we have violent crimes, and we also have your property crimes. And of course, with violent crimes, goes into the gangs and things like that.
So you're sort of zeroing in not only on your officer's personality, but their skill set.
That's it.
Somebody may be a home run hitter, but somebody may be able to drag bunt better, or as a base hitter better. And I'm using that as an analogy, but you really have to be not a psychiatrist, but at least you got to know your employees pretty well and what motivates.
Yes, and I knew a lot of them guys, and I watched them work for many years, and I'm like, you know what, this guy is very good at these violent crimes, and this guy here, I mean, I don't know how he figured this out, but he did. And those guys that specialize in those things, I mean, you got 4 or 5 guys that specialize in these teams, but what happens, they work as a team. When a case is passed, it's a hot case, whether it's a violent crime or it's a property crime, those guys get on it, and it's quicker results, more efficient, and they're solving things, and we're making arrests, and we're figuring things out much quicker.
But I notice when they do figure something out, it comes out as a team. Might be somebody had a good week and figured something out. Next week, it's going to be somebody else in the team. But when they come out with it, it's always a team.
It's a team effort. And look, when we have these violent acts that happen in the parish, I mean, everybody comes together. Even from the property crime, there's always everybody has something to contribute to help. But I mean, that leads me to one thing: we have some good people, and I couldn't be more proud of what they do every day. And watching these guys work and watching what they do, it's unbelievable. And their work ethics. I mean, sometimes you got to tell them to go home. It's like, go home. It's like, when do you go home? They hadn't slept 30, 35 hours. They've been there. Go home, get some rest, and come back.
Yeah, come back fresh. You might see it a little differently when you do. What's some other things that you have?
Well, we brought back the DARE program, and there's some things I'm working right now, trying to, this year was pretty difficult coming into the summer. I mean, we had a short summer, it feels like. But trying to do stuff more with the juvenile groups, children that's getting out of school, trying to do things that's going to be more productive to them. But more importantly, changing the image of law enforcement and with our juvenile, with the younger generation, that they can be comfortable around us,
Right.
and we are here to help them. And so there's some things that I want to bring to the table a little bit later. That'll be probably another segment, but I have some ideas. And this year was kind of rather difficult. But I mean, in the first year, it was definitely, we had some challenges between storms,
Right.
between COVID and everything else. But at the end of the day, a lot of things that we talked about, it's been successful. But we have very good people and hardworking people.
What storms? We had storms last year?
I don't know. I mean, it looks like we had a
7
couple.
of them, huh? Yeah.
Oh, it seems to be there was a record
I
number.
know, your first year, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
it was. I think the paper called it trial by fire or something.
Yeah, no
But
doubt.
I said, well, I guess you can call it that. But
Like,
we had some
you
good
made
dry
it through
runs.
with flying colors. Let's wrap it up. What's some of the, I know you talked about one of your most proud things where people go back into the workforce, but what's some of the other things you implemented?
there were some projects, some structural projects. We have now a special ops facility, and evidence was in the basement, and I took them out of the basement, and we moved evidence, and they're a lot more organized, and where they're located now by the motor pool. And I've repurposed another building which we had, and that's now our new special ops facility that works along between narcotics, the SWAT team, K9, and things like where we do a lot of work. But it's more flows. It flows a lot more, and I think for the sake of efficiency, it's flowing and be able to get out there and provide the services which we do.
Right, it's, and I've always said, when it's parish presidents or sheriffs, you don't go back and look at the past and criticize people, because I think people expound on what they've seen in office for years, and it gives them a chance to up the ante, so to speak. You've been on the ground level, you've seen a lot of things, so in your mind, you're implementing those things.
And we're putting some things, a lot of things I've talked to the campaign, I'm delivering. I mean, those were ideas that I knew that was going to make the department better, more efficient. And those are a lot of things I talked on the campaign. And we're delivering them. And we're going to continue to deliver, but I think the productivity, morale, because you got some structure, you have organization, and it's a little bit different. I mean, there was structure and organization before, but it's a little bit different, but every now and then a little different's good.
Yeah, you're right. All right, Sheriff, we appreciate you coming in and sharing your thoughts, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing you a lot more as things get closer, hurricane season and Mardi Gras around the corner, but thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Martin.
All right. There you have it, the Sheriff of Terrebonne Parish, Sheriff Tim Soignet. We look forward to talking with the Sheriff and other officials right here on Bayou Time. Don't forget, Facebook, YouTube. We have a lot of ways to get these segments out, and it seems to be working real well, so we're going to keep doing it. We'll be back.